Today we are diving into one of the most powerful and, honestly, most useful guides to modern feminism out there. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie's Dear Adichie. It's written as a personal letter, but trust me, its message is for everyone. So let's get right into it.
So where did this all come from? Well, it started with a really personal moment. Adichie's childhood friend, Adichie, had a baby girl, and she asked this incredibly simple but huge question. How do I raise her to be a feminist? Adichie's answer came in the form of a letter, packed with 15 really practical, heartfelt suggestions.
And what's so amazing is how this one private piece of advice, this letter between two friends, just completely took off. It grew into this essential guide, this roadmap for anyone, and I mean anyone, trying to figure out how to live these ideas in the real world, especially when it comes to raising the next generation.
Okay, so where do you even begin with all this? Adichie is super practical about it. She doesn't just throw big abstract ideas at you. Instead, she gives you a framework. She calls them her 2 feminist tools, and they're meant to be the solid ground for everything else she talks about.
And here they are. It's actually pretty straightforward. First, you have your premise. That's like your core, unshakable belief. And second, you have a question, a little test you can use in pretty much any situation to spot hidden bias. These 2 things, they're the building blocks for everything.
So let's start with the premise. This right here is the absolute non-negotiable belief you have to hold. It's this incredibly powerful declaration of your own self-worth, and it's not conditional on anything or anyone. Your starting point is always this: I matter equally. Full stop. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Now, the second tool, I love this one because it's so simple yet so revealing. When you come across some kind of social rule or an expectation, you just ask yourself, can you reverse it? For instance, if society easily forgives a man for something, would it forgive a woman for the exact same thing? If the answer is no, well, boom, you've just uncovered a gender bias.
So with those 2 tools in our back pocket, let's see how they apply to one of the book's biggest themes, parenting. Adichie makes the case that true equality really has to begin at home, and that means we have to completely redefine what parental roles look like.
You know, her very first suggestion to her friend is this: be a full person. Now, this isn't about downplaying motherhood at all. It's about embracing your entire identity, your work, your hobbies, your ambitions, your needs. The thing is, your child actually benefits from seeing you as a complete, fulfilled human being.
And that leads right into a powerful takedown of the superwoman myth. Adichie says we need to stop praising women for doing it all, because that just reinforces the assumption that it was their job to do it all in the first place. The real goal should be to make all that domestic work and childcare totally gender neutral. This is where language becomes so important. The words we use really matter. A father isn't helping with his own child, he is doing his part. He's not babysitting his own kids, he is parenting. Just that simple shift in the words we choose totally reframes the dynamic and makes it about an equal partnership.
Next up, Adichie gives a really important warning. It's about a version of feminism that might sound good on the surface, but is ultimately hollow. She calls it feminism light, and she argues it's one of the biggest roadblocks to actual meaningful equality.
So what in the world is feminism light? It's basically the idea of equality with conditions. You know, I believe in women's rights, but it's a kind of feminism that tries to appease the current system instead of actually challenging it. Adichie is crystal clear on this. You either believe in full equality or you don't. There is no middle ground.
Here's a classic example you've probably heard. This whole analogy, it sounds collaborative, right? But if you really think about it, it keeps a clear hierarchy in place. One person leads, the other supports. It suggests that a woman's power is only there to serve a man's.
And this next one makes the same point so brilliantly. Yeah, sure, being in the front seat is way better than being in the back. But guess what? Someone else still has their hands on the steering wheel. Feminism light gives women a better view, maybe, but not an equal say in where we're all going.
And this all boils down to a fundamental point. Feminism light often depends on the idea that men should allow women to have rights, or that they should treat women well. But Adichie just cuts right through that. A woman's well-being can't depend on someone else's goodwill. It has to be an inherent, undeniable right.
All right, let's move to our final point, and it might be the most challenging one for many of us. It's the social pressure for women and girls to be likable above all else. Adichie argues that this isn't just limiting, it's actively dangerous.
Adichie just puts the question out there, point blank.
For centuries, the unspoken answer has been a resounding yes. Girls are taught to be nice, to be pleasant, to smooth things over. But she forces us to ask, at what cost? What is the price of all that likability?
And here's the catastrophic consequence she's talking about. When being nice is the top priority, girls learn to stay silent when they're uncomfortable, or even when they're being harmed. They learn to worry about the feelings of people who are hurting them. They learn, essentially, to be false to themselves.
So, what's the alternative? Instead of pushing for likability, Adichie says we should teach girls to value these things instead. Teach them to be honest, even if it makes them unpopular. To be kind? Absolutely. But also to expect kindness in return. And above all else, to be brave enough to be their full, authentic selves. This quote just sums it all up, doesn't it? A person's job isn't to bend themselves into a shape that pleases everyone else. Their job is to be true, to be honest, and to recognize that every other person is just as human as they are. That's it.
And that leaves us with one last, really powerful question to think about. Just imagine for a second all the energy, all the creativity, all the innovation that could be unleashed in a world where half the population wasn't spending so much time and effort just trying to be pleasing. What could that world look like?